In this video, we dive deep into the pressing question: if climate change is indeed an urgent crisis, why do governments consistently postpone meaningful action? We will explore the intricate complexities of climate change, uncover the political priorities that shape decision-making, and examine the economic constraints that often hinder progress. Additionally, we'll analyze how public perception, international cooperation, technological setbacks, and the influence of special interest groups impact the pace of climate initiatives. Join us as we unpack the multifaceted reasons behind these delays and seek to understand the path forward. 1. The complexity of climate change. Climate change is a phenomenon that impacts every corner of our planet. The evidence is clear: rising temperatures, melting ice caps, and increasing natural disasters are only a few examples of the repercussions we face. Despite the urgency, many governments seem to be dragging their feet when it comes to implementing real, effective action. The complexity of climate change stems from its far-reaching impacts on various sectors such as agriculture, economy, and health. Unlike a straightforward problem, climate change requires a multifaceted approach, making it difficult for governments to prioritize and address effectively. The interconnection between climate change and socio-economic factors adds layers of intricacies that can overwhelm policymakers. 2. Understanding political priorities. Governments worldwide face a multitude of challenges, from economic crises to social unrest. In such a landscape, climate change often takes a backseat to more immediate concerns. Political leaders are frequently focused on short-term goals, aiming to address issues that offer immediate benefits to their constituents. Unfortunately, the effects of climate change are long-term, making it less appealing for politicians who need to secure re-election in the near future. This clash between immediate political priorities and long-term environmental needs is one of the primary reasons for delayed climate action. The challenge lies in balancing short-term demands with the necessity of addressing the looming climate crisis. 3. Economic constraints and interests. Economic considerations play a significant role in the delay of real climate action by governments. Transitioning to a green economy requires substantial investments, and not all countries are financially equipped to make such a shift. Additionally, industries that contribute heavily to climate change, such as fossil fuels, are deeply embedded in the economic structures of many countries. These industries wield significant influence and often lobby against stringent environmental regulations. The fear of economic instability and job losses further complicates the situation, making governments hesitant to take decisive action that may disrupt existing economic systems. Balancing economic growth with environmental sustainability remains a daunting task for policymakers. 4. The role of public perception and awareness. Public perception and awareness significantly influence governmental action on climate change. In many regions, there is still a lack of understanding about the severity and immediacy of the climate crisis. Misconceptions and misinformation can lead to public apathy, reducing the pressure on governments to act. Furthermore, the impact of climate change is not felt uniformly across the globe. Regions less affected may not prioritize climate action, leading to a lack of cohesive global efforts. Governments often cater to the demands of their citizens, and without widespread public demand for climate action, it becomes less of a priority for policymakers. 5. International coordination challenges. Addressing climate change requires global cooperation, but achieving consensus on international platforms is notoriously difficult. Countries have different levels of development, resources, and priorities, making it challenging to agree on a unified course of action. Developed nations often bear the historical responsibility for emissions, but developing countries are now rapidly increasing their carbon footprint. This disparity leads to disagreements on who should bear the brunt of climate action costs. Furthermore, international agreements like the Paris Agreement rely on voluntary commitments, which can be easily delayed or ignored without strict enforcement measures. Coordinating global efforts to combat climate change remains a formidable challenge. 6. Technological and infrastructure limitations. While technological advancements offer hope in combating climate change, there are significant limitations that hinder immediate action. Renewable energy technologies, for instance, are still being developed and scaled. Transitioning from fossil fuels to renewable sources requires considerable changes in infrastructure, which can be costly and time-consuming. Additionally, not all regions have access to the technology or resources needed to implement these changes effectively. Governments may delay action due to the perceived inadequacy of current technology to meet energy demands reliably. Bridging the gap between technological potential and practical implementation is crucial for advancing climate action. 7. The influence of special interest groups. Special interest groups, particularly those representing fossil fuel industries, have a substantial influence on political decision-making. These groups often lobby against environmental regulations, fearing that stricter measures would harm their profits. The financial power and political connections of such groups can lead to policy decisions that prioritize economic interests over environmental concerns. Governments may find themselves caught between the demands of these influential groups and the need to protect the environment. The presence of powerful lobbyists complicates the path to real climate action, as decisions may be swayed by interests that do not align with environmental sustainability. 8. Conclusion. The delay in governmental action on climate change is a multifaceted issue influenced by political, economic, social, and technological factors. Each of these aspects presents its challenges and requires careful consideration to overcome. The urgency of climate change demands that governments worldwide recognize and address these obstacles to implement effective and timely solutions.